Ask anyone what video games are today, and you'll most likely get your grandparents calling whatever it is that you're playing on a Nintendo.
Oh, little Jimmy, would you please stop playing your Nintendo and give me my oxygen, please?
It's a PS5, Grandma, and no, you breathe when I say you breathe. Got it?
But Jimmy, I...
Shut it, Grandma, or it's back to the wood for you. Or you'll get another group of people that'll be like, oh yeah, video games, I know those. You got your Marios, your Pac-Mans, your Call of Duties, your mice-singing monsters. But through all the old people and casual gamers, video games are a part of a medium that is applauded for its innate capabilities of delivering amazing and memorable experiences. Even if the game ends up looking like whatever ends up in the toilet after I down an entire pack of Little Debbie's oatmeal cream pies and down 2 USA 4 Locos. USA! 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 Yeah! America! Hell yeah. But regardless of the cravings that I'm getting, we all know that video games are just amazing. For the most part. Now, video games have come a long way since their inception. Motorcycle. How rude! Video games have come a long way since their conception, not just visually, but internally as well, via their complex systems that can handle things today like inventory management, combat, cutscenes, graphics. Look at those graphics. God! The prowess that this medium manages to encompass goes far beyond just visuals and gameplay. And it's important to understand that we achieved this visual robustness because Super Mario 64 had to walk, so games like Journey could run. So, picture this. The year is 1996 and we're approaching the ends of September. The top song in the US at the time is the Macarena. And I, an absolute Sigma, am just barely 6 months old.
That's little me.
And on the 29th of that September, Nintendo releases its newest gaming home console in the form of the Nintendo 64. Releasing alongside it was its flagship title, Super Mario 64, which broke the iconic plumber out of his second-dimensional prison into a now three-dimensional mortal coil. This is just the context for our little man in green that does eventually get his spotlight a little bit later. After Mario got his first 3D debut and smashed so much more harder than your mama does, video game fans at the time were waiting in anticipation for what other games would eventually make the realistic jump from 2D to 3D. But Nintendo fans were waiting for our boy in green to get his turn in a big open world. And oh boy, did we get it. So fast forward a couple years and here we are now. It's November 23rd, 1999. The Game Boy Color just came out, and Nintendo finally brings our green skirt wearing favorite Christmas elf into the realm of 3D. 3D. 3Ds. Directional, dramatic dicks. I'm a grown up. Because you see, before this day, we were only adventuring with Link in the second dimension with A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. So this is it. Finally, we get to play a new open world 3D realistic Zelda. What the fuck is that? And this release just fucking rocks. It's getting hella reviews, and it just completely revolutionizes the gaming industry with the addition of Z-targeting, an open world narrative, and satisfying combat. This game changed it all and inspired 100 bajillion other games. You know the story. And to me, I actually didn't play it on the release because I was, you know, a fucking baby. It was around when I would say I was about maybe 6 or 7, so I looked kind of like this. God, I fucking hate this picture. Needless to say, it was my favorite Zelda until I eventually did get my grubby little hand on Majora's Mask. And they are little and grubby. I mean, fuck. I remember being stuck on this game for so long and being so engrossed by it. I even called my brother's friend's house when he was hanging out over there to call him to tell him, dude, you gotta get your ass back home. I'm about to beat Ocarina of Time. But with all these amazing accolades, awards, and memories, I began to ask myself, does this game still hold up 27 years later? I mean, 27 years, that's a whole voter. That's a whole adult that has his life figured out and isn't making videos on YouTube. But what the hell does that even mean? What does it mean for something to hold up? Well, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be looking at different aspects of the game. I'll be taking into consideration everything except the visuals because, come on, it was 1998 and you just can't compare something like Ocarina of Time to fucking Elden Ring. And while I also play the game, I'll be asking myself, is this fun? Is this engaging? Is the game worth coming back to? I'll also try to gather my thoughts on the game through both a personal and critical perspective. Also, just genuinely looking forward to going back to a game that I used to play a lot as a kid and seeing if it still holds up today. So without further ado, I readied my lips and tossed another cartridge's salad. And I started up a new file and started the adventure that'll let us delve into the story. So Lego Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, let's jump right into this shit. Wait, what the hell is that? Oh my god, it's a disclaimer! What the fuck? Alright, so just here to remind you guys that these are just my opinions. If you got something to say, then hey, tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear what everyone else has to say about this game and its experiences. Alright, with that out of the way, let's fuck this night right and jump into the story. So before I get into the plot, there's one thing that really sidetracked me, and that was the fucking title screen. I'm gonna be talking about the visuals and music a little bit later in the video, but god damn! The combination of the late 90s game aesthetics and the music is so fucking peak here. I mean peak. Like peak of the mountain peak. Like, for real, on God, NGO, this shit fire as hell, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, you got some pretty piano, some fucking ocarina notes, all while in the backdrop you got Link fucking riding on a horse. Like, what the fuck? Dude, I am in. I am sold. And it's one of the most important parts about this. Do you know how many lo-fi songs would not exist without this beautiful track right now? Now that I'm done glazing the fuck out of that donut that is the Ocarina of Time title screen, let's actually load our file up and see what our boy Stompus is gonna have to go through. So we start out the game as Stompus! Being woken up by a rude-ass, bitch-ass fairy named Navi, who was sent on orders by a sentient tree. Basically, he's an immobile, decrepit, creepy old man living in the forest with a bunch of kids. Kinda weird, not gonna lie. And I don't wanna hear, but Suki, they're hundreds of years old. They never age. Stop it. Just stop it. Anyways, the good old Deku Tree is dying and asked Navi the fairy to get the boy without a fairy, which is us, and bring us to him so he can vor us and have us roleplay pest control when we're really just playing doctor trying to find his STDs in the forms of parasites. Huh. So that's what crabs look like. Oh. So we push a few blocks, press a few buttons, kill a spider and free the tree from his unhealthy chains, and he uses his last breath to tell us that a mysterious man from the desert has come to put a curse in him, on him for refusing to give him the Forest Emerald, aka the spiritual stone of the forest. He then urges us to leave the forest and meet the Princess of Destiny and save the land of Hyrule. So we say goodbye to our bully, that weird ginger kid humping the rock.
But what the hell, bro?
Oh my god.
Yo man, can I get some of that action? And our only non-ginger childhood friend, and we book it to Hyrule Castle for the real start of our adventure. Up until this point, however, we get our first glimpses into the gameplay that defines the game as a whole. But only a taste. Just a little taste. Now, before I get back to the plot, I feel like this is a really good place to highlight the gameplay mechanics, because the first dungeon does a really good job at introducing challenges that you'll face on later in the game. In all actuality, I feel like the first dungeons that consist of all of young child Link's initial playthrough all serve as good beginner areas that introduce concepts of gameplay that you will eventually revisit later as you continue to progress your way through the game. Basically, the game does a great job at escalating the clarity of the dungeons in the sense that you see objectives that you have to clear and you recognize them because you previously had experiences in dungeons earlier in the game, or the overworld. This will become more clear as I progress through the video, but it all eventually accumulates to build an experience much later in the game that really does a fantastic job of bringing together everything that you've learned in a good way. To start with though, we do have the introduction of Link, Stompus! For us into a 3D environment where we have to be capable enough to be able to throw hands with things in 3D. I'm gonna fuck you up, I'm gonna fuck you up, buddy. The combat is fairly intuitive in the way that all it really is mashing B and A for jump attacks. Since they're stronger and there's not a lot of convoluted things to deal with that require big brain energy. It's seriously just, alright, I can keep swinging right here. Or, alright, I gotta wait to see when I can swing at him or jump attack this motherfucker. With the choice being yours, but the latter being the one that you'll probably be doing the most because you have to wait so much for this game. Now, Egoraptor did hit on this in his great video Sequelitis for Ocarina of Time, where in it he does talk about how much goddamn waiting that you have to do in this game, and it's so very, very, very true. You gotta wait for everything in this game. You gotta wait for the enemies to be able to hit. You gotta wait for Stompus to be done pushing a heavy ass block. You gotta wait for the chest to fucking open. Oh my god, what this could be? Another map? Oh boy! If I really wanted to wait forever, I would probably just go play Line Waiting Simulator on Roblox or something. Aside from the waiting, the puzzles you face don't really make it past... Ah shit, I gotta push a rock. Ah shit, I gotta light a torch. Ah shit, I gotta use an item from a dungeon. And then boom, you're done. Sure, the variation does come in the form of a new item. Whoa, look at that. Look at that thing! Whoa! Look at that thing! But this game does what the Zelda formula did best, and that's the execution of the gimmick dungeon. I'll bring up more examples of this as we go through the game, but basically Zelda games do this thing where you enter a dungeon, explore a little bit, you know, and then you eventually find that dungeon's gimmick item, which allows you to explore areas in the dungeon that you hadn't been to before, or otherwise couldn't do because you didn't have that dungeon's necessary designated item. This formula is a repetitive theme throughout the games, and Ocarina of Time is no exception. It uses that for the whole game. While not necessarily bad, this formula does tend to dull your experience as a player because these items aren't inherently useful outside of their respective dungeons, besides arrows and bombs, but you find little to no occurrences to actually use those items that you found in the dungeon outside of it. I mean, sometimes you do get into parts of the game where you do end up using items from past dungeons to clear areas and other dungeon shit, I guess. These items just kind of lose value and just kind of sit in your inventory to the point where you look at everything and you're just like, huh, that's definitely taking up space. Like the mirror shield or my life on this planet. I'm sad. I know that we just did the first tutorial dungeon, but I had to bring this up because we do see a lot of it and it does lead into gameplay. I swear, at some point, probably, I don't know, I'm just here. Where the hell am I? But from the first dungeon, we get a small taste of what this sword-oriented open-world narrative game has in store for us by showing us some neat items, puzzles, blocks to push, shit to burn, and spiders to kill. So, it's pretty neat. But that brings us back to the plot. So anyways, we marched right the fuck up to Castletown, which for the time genuinely felt like a cool little village. There were several types of different NPCs that you could talk to, and minigames that you could play. As a kid, I ate this shit up and would be talking to everyone, trying to get to know every little nook and cranny of the plot and what this world could be. But as a jaded adult, I kinda just looked at this with, wow, hey, that's nostalgic. Why did we grow up? Anyways, it's super cool and all. We meet some friends, meet Sleeping Mario. Look at him, he's just sleeping. He's going mean bees. He's going mean bees. Look at him. Meet Sleeping Mario's daughter, get some breakfast, and then check this shit out. We really gotta wait a whole in-game day and night cycle, rising sun to setting moon, just for our breakfast to grow a beak and say... And I know this would have easily been remedied by the Sun Song, but I didn't have it at this point in the game, and I actually had to wait that long. Anyways, we wake up our boy Mario, and he just fucking runs. This dude is running as if he's going to the principal's office after Stompus shows him what's in his backpack and tells him not to come to school tomorrow. It was a McDonald's Kids Meal Minion toy, by the way. We sneak in the castle, passing the guard's stupid, blind-ass head asses, and then we meet Zelda. Holy shit! So we go up to Zelda and be like, hey, what's up, mama? What's good? But she be telling us she be having nightmares and shit of a man from the desert. It's me, a man from the desert. I'm Hispanic. Planning to F up Hyrule if we don't go and get some gems and complete the Holy Trinity. So we talk to Impa, Zelda's caretaker, where she teaches us some sick jams. And begin a journey to a place that is hotter than your dad and more moist than your mama. Goron City and Zora's Domain, respectively. So we go to Kakariko Village, then we meet the Rockman Daruni and cure his depression by making him dance to As the Rush Comes from DDR Extreme 2. Good! Keep on going! Then we blow up some rocks and enter the second dungeon, Dodongo's Cavern, where we fight some lizards, blow some things up, fight some lizards again, blow things up, and fight a big stupid dinosaur. Boom, we did it! We saved the day for the Gorons! Hell yeah, brother!
Come here and give me a hug. You better be ready for where's my hug? Link, stop this. Where's my hug?
Fuck it, let's go swimming. So we make our way to Zora's Domain, take some swimming lessons, get a message in a bottle from the Zora Princess Ruto saying that she's inside Lord Jabu Jabu, whoever the fuck that is. So we show the letter to the king, and he fucking does the absolute worst thing and takes 5 business years to move the fuck out of the way, making this stupid noise. Like, what the fuck? I could get so much done during this entire cutscene. Yeah, I can go outside. I can learn Japanese, even. 私はあなたのお父さんの電話番号が欲しいです。お願いします。あらあら、あなた大好き or whatever the fuck that means. Seriously, he really does take forever to get to where he needs to move, just for us to finally move past him and get vored by a fish. But this time, for real, it counts as voring because it's something that's actually fleshy and corporeal. Just like your mama's pussy. Ow! Please apologize to your mom for me. Please tell her to subscribe to Suki, and then maybe I'll reconsider taking that back. Anyways, we're inside Lord Jabu Jabu, and we finally meet up with Princess Ruto, who is looking for the Zora Sapphire, aka the Spiritual Stone of Water. So we fight some Oombi Goombis, we lose Ruto, and then we fight some gross-looking octopus. What is that? Oh, it's got a weird butthole with the light on the back. Oh, dude, oh, my eyes! Then we fight some more Oombi Goombis, just to reach the end where we fight an even bigger Diddly Boom Diddly. So much Oombi Goombis today. God! What is that? You doing the hand thing? Then we win over the Tsundere fish girl, get engaged, and we finally have all 3 spiritual stones. And now we're ready to return to Zelda. Fuck yeah! But before we see where that gets us, I want to talk about the gameplay again. At this point, you've explored 3 dungeons and have explored enough of the overworld to actually get a grasp of what Ocarina of Time sets out to do and its execution of what it brings to the table. Now, as a veteran who has played this game plenty of times growing up, I know exactly what I'm doing, but it just feels so much fun to be back in this world, especially when I was just fucking around and getting lost and adventuring. And the mini-games! The mini-games in this game are actually kind of sick because while it doesn't hurt to not do them, doing them gives you incentives to further expand on some explorative efforts because, oh shit, I got this from doing this minigame? What other cool stuff can I get? Like, the waterfall minigame seems like just a minigame at first, until you win a fucking scale that makes your diving better, and now suddenly we're like, oh shit, I can dive deeper now? Well, what's this fucking doorway down here? Oh shit, I'm in Lake Hylia now? What is that in the water? Jeez, that's pretty deep. I'm sure glad I just did a diving minigame to be able to dive this deep to get this important plot device. Shit like that is just really epic and incentivizes the player to try out other minigames or just straight up explore and see what you find. For some positive, I do have some negatives though. The camera. Oh god, the camera. It just sucks a lot, like, throughout the whole game. And sometimes it makes it a little hard to platform, especially when combined with Link's already kind of slippery movement here and there, and which just kind of gets worse later on when you get to places that have ice and you get the hover boots. Like, I never know if I'm actually gonna just make my jump a lot of the times throughout this fucking game. And don't even get me started on aiming throwables like bombs. Sometimes that shit is just ridiculous and sucks. The camera also fucks up some of the bosses later on in the game. It is what it is, because I know there wasn't a dedicated peripheral to use on the Nintendo 64 controller. For camera controls, like a dedicated joystick. It was kind of all just... Am I gonna grow a third fucking hand? But that shit sucks, and it is what it is. And yeah, Z-targeting did change the gaming world, but it wasn't perfect. And honestly, it failed me the most in later boss fights as well. As for intuiting in the game, I feel like the game does do a good job of directing the player in the direction that they're supposed to be going. But I do enjoy the freedom that you're given to just straight up explore. I mean, fuck it, who's to stop you from going midway through a dungeon, grabbing those bombs and fucking saying fuck off to the rest of the dungeon and going to Zoro's domain and doing that dungeon first before beating the other dungeon? God, that's such a bad boy thing to do, going off the beaten path, but what the hell, I'm such a bad boy, doing bad boy things, having bad boy tattoos, having bad boy long hair, drinking almost the entire water bottle but throwing it away and opening up a new one when there was still definitely some water in that other water bottle. Hitting vapes that have been at 0% nicotine juice for the last week. I hate myself. Yeah, I'm a bad fucking boy. I listen to music my parents don't want me to listen to.
I am a menace, smacking this balls like in tennis, sucking this dick till he finished. Now
that's
let
my
his semen
fucking
replenish.
jam! So all in all, with the upcoming end of the young child portion of the game, I have to say so far that collectively my thoughts about the game are that it delivers a quality streamlined linear-esque story with solid gameplay. Sometimes. And that it offers many things for the player to do outside of the main story quest line and incentivizes them to explore and be creative in the way that they approach and play in this world. Now, the dungeons are pretty solid, with more pushing block, clearing enemies, and using gimmick items to help clear out the dungeons. They're short, but just right enough for you to get a grasp of what the game still has in store for you, with world building that will have you revisit the world you're in, changing your perspective, and challenge how you integrate into the new environment that you'll be approaching very soon. There's a reason this game has so many accolades, and so far, it's still held up to this point where we get to the main chunk of the game as Adult Link, which returns us to the plot. So having the Trinity in our hands, we make our way back to Hyrule Castle, but as we get close, we get treated to a cutscene that shows Zelda and Impa running away from the castle on horseback. Zelda looks back at it and throws us the titular Ocarina of Time as they both get away, but then, oh no, here comes the big bad guy, Ganondorf, coming out and being like,
Oh, you want a piece of this? Holy shit! Try it again, you fucking loser! You must be this tall to ride! Oh boy!
oh, my back actually started cramping. Oh. And then he just fucking destroys us and fades away into the horizon, showing us how fucking much of a pussy we are. We can't fucking stand up to him. What the fuck are we thinking? We are just... we're useless. We're useless. Oh my god, we're useless. So we collect ourselves after getting our ass absolutely handed to us by some green ginger man, only to go and collect the Ocarina of Time, which houses a memory for us that Zelda so kindly left in there for us. In this memory, Zelda teaches us the sick-ass jam that lets us open the door of time. So you best know that we open that shit. And what we find inside is the Master Sword, but... oof, not before Ganondorf sneaks his little sneaky little toes into the door we just left open. And he sneaks into the Sacred Realm, claiming a piece of the Triforce of Power for himself, and laughing maniacally in some goofy villain way. Then next thing we know, we wake up after being asleep for 7 years, where we find out that we've been being taken care of and dressed by some old man who looks like his name would be Dan. He's so intimidating, and it looks like he'd be eating some beans or something. Beans! He tells us we're the hero of time and we gotta save the world or something. Also that we're a fucking grown-up now. We can do cool adult things like vaping, Shrooms? Crying in the corner cause living just isn't living anymore? So we get back to the Temple of Time after being exposition dumped. And oh, here comes more exposition! We meet Sheik, who is totally not Zelda. Yeah, I promise you guys, this is not Zelda. Please just trust the process. It is not Zelda. Okay, so now that we know Sheik isn't Zelda, they tell us about our destiny and hint at where we'll be adventuring on the rest of our journey. So Sheik wraps it up by telling us we should head to Kakariko Village, but first we see the destruction in the land laid out by Ganondorf by visiting Ganon's castle, seeing Hyrule Castletown all fucked up and full of zombies now. But fuck that shit, we gonna get a motherfucking horse, baby! So we win a few races, and then when Ingo tries to lock us into the ranch, we just jump over his bitch ass head like, hey yo, check this shit out. The only thing that's being locked in is me, cause I'm locked in. So after that triumphant horse victory, we end up going to Kakariko Village. We race a ghost, get a hookshot, and do a side quest that's just a back and forth fetch quest to get one of the best items in the game. That in the meantime also gives us the iron boots, and Sheik teaches us another jam to go to Lake Hylia. So now we make our way to the Forest Temple where we push some shit, fight some things, go ghost hunting, get an item that helps us beat the rest of the dungeon and the boss, and we awaken one of our friends as the Sage of the Forest that's gonna help us fight Ganon. Whoa! Then we make our way to Goron City, find out that we're an uncle to a nephew with the same name as us. He's kinda handsome, not gonna lie. Just look at him. Zooey mama! We also find out that Gorons are going to be fed to a revived dragon just to make a statement. Oh, great. You made him cry. What the hell is your problem? You apologize to Stompus right now and give him his milk. Speaking of milk, let's drink the 7-year-old bottle of milk. God, that is delicious milk. After that little crying sesh that Stompus and I had, we move this creepy monkey statue looking thing and make our way to the front of the fire temple where Sheik is waiting to teach us just another fire jam. Get it? Because we're in a volcano? Fire? Do you get it? So we go into the fire temple, free some Gorons that run away ever so happily when you free them, by the way. We're free! Freedom! We push some blocks, fight some enemies, find a hammer. Then we free some more Gorons, fight some more enemies, then fight a dragon and awaken another friend as a sage that's gonna help us beat Ganon! Oh yeah! After which we make our way to the water temple now, meet our tsundere fish fiance, and then push some blocks, fight some enemies, fight ourselves in an epic introspective battle within our dark selves. My dark self listens to Secondhand Serenade. The worst part about tonight's that we're not fighting. Could it be that we have been this way before? I'm not trying. Oh god, what the fuck? So we push more blocks, get a longer hook shot, and go fight some tentacle monster that looks so inviting. I mean dangerous. Yeah, dangerous. Then we awaken another friend as a sage to help us beat Ganon. Are you beginning to see the pattern here? So then after that, we learn a new gem again from Sheik to help us go back to the Temple of Time whenever we want. We set the Master Sword down on its pedestal and go back in time, go play the Song of Storms, and drain the well, I guess? And then we get to the bottom of the well, which is so fucking creepy, by the way. The bottom of the well is where we obtain the Lens of Truth, which allows us to look through invisible walls and spot things like invisible chests or enemies. But it's also where we get introduced to the Dead Hand. The Dead Hand scared the living shit out of me as a child. I mean, just look at that thing. This thing is more akin to being in an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog along with the Harvest Moon Spirit, which, by the way, is equally as terrifying and gave me nightmares as a kid. Like, oh god, what the fuck is that? Holy shit. Dude, that is so scary. Is that a ghost booger? Oh my god. It makes me feel bad. I wish I had some ghost napkins to help him pick those ghost boogers, but I left them in my ghost mansion. So we get our magnifying glass, turn off the lights because we're going back to the future part 2, and we make our way to Kakariko Village, where
some quite nasty purple block comes out of the old well and gives us an old shimmy between us and saying a man about a dog.
We survive, and Sheik teaches us yet another epic jam, Bean Bees. Then we make our way to the really aesthetic Shadow Temple using a spell that we got from some sus-ass fairy as a kid. Woo! Look at the polygons on that one. They knew what they were doing. Look at that. Don't. This is a no gooner zone.
There will be no gooning on this part of the planet Earth.
We use our handy dandy lens of truth, fight another dead hand, we get some new fucking swaggy boots and push some more fucking blocks, kill some enemies, build a boat for treasure, and then fight a dismembered corpse without a head who's also a musician. And despite some camera issues, we do beat Bongo Bongus over here, and we awaken another friend as a sage! Whoa! So we make our way to the Gerudo Desert, where we free some goofy-looking carpenters or something, after beating on women. Lots of women. After freeing the last of the carpenters, we make our way through the haunted wasteland where we find a hippie flying on a carpet, and we chase a ghost. That must have been some real good shit that he gave us. Am I tripping right now? Whoa! We finally reach the Spear Temple where we go in and find that we can't do a single goddamn thing, so we make our way back outside where we meet Sheik and they teach us our final tasty fucking jam. Now this jam lets us return to the temple, so we go back in time as a kid again and start the first half of this dungeon as young Link. Here we meet another woman with, oh my god, another woman? How much more am I gonna have to beat down? So we agree to go help get some gloves or some shit and push more shit and beat more monsters, and then the thief we were helping gets demolished by more women. Two old witch-ass bitches. So now we gotta turn time back forward and come back to complete the dungeon as a fully capable adult, where we push even more shit, fight even more enemies, then get a fucking mid-ass looking mirror shield. You solve some puzzles and you beat the... Yo! Is that the boss? Dude, I know some of y'all probably think they're a baddie, but they ain't. Stop it. Get some help. Anyways, we fight the boss and the camera system, and we awaken another friend as a sage, the final one! Finally! So getting this final friend as a sage marks it as the last one to let us go show Ganondorf who the real bad boy is here. It's me. I'm the bad boy here. So then Rauru gives us the rundown, telling us that someone is waiting for us at the Temple of Time. And oh shit, it's not Zelda! So Sheik reveals to us that she is in fact Zelda. I totally got you guys. Subscribe. Anyways, Sheik is Zelda, I guess, and tells us that Ganon, herself, and you each individually have a piece of another trinity known as the Triforce. She apologizes to some shit and... Oh no! Here comes Ganondorf! Here he comes! Using slash freeze on Zelda! And slash fly! Looks like someone's got Cole's admin house commands. Oh shit. What are you doing later? And so he just kind of straight up says, alright, come fight me, pussy. So we head on over to Ganon's castle where the sages build us a whole ass rainbow fucking bridge. And that brings us to the game's greatest and final dungeon. But before we get to the conclusion of this, we gotta look back at the gameplay that we experienced up until this point in our journey, because it's important to the core of the final dungeon. We have now played through 6 dungeons, all with their own little gimmicks and puzzles that, as you've seen, culminates basically to finding an item and solving puzzles with that neat little item that we got. This is great in creating experiences within a confined space as a dungeon, but it doesn't really add much value to that item outside of the dungeon. Spare some things that are in the overworld, far and few in between, in some dungeons, and this last dungeon especially. As you gain more items, however, it starts to get a little... tedious, to say the least. Pausing every single time to make a change that will fit a puzzle just gets so annoying! Like, for example, the 3DS remake of this game handled something really well, and that was the equipping of the iron boots. With a dungeon whose main focus is traversing its layout with 2 different boots to walk underwater and on the surface, it gets pretty difficult to remain patient when you have to constantly equip 2 different types of kicks to just get around. Now, I get it that it's like the limitation of the console, but the 3DS version of this game remedied this by having extra equip slots on the second screen, allowing you to set your boots in one of those item equip slots, which in turn allows you to quickly and efficiently change out your shoes. Now, the Nintendo 64 could have easily set up the iron boots as a C button item, but it just wasn't in the cards for the time. If a more modern remake were to be made, I'm sure that that would be implemented, so it's not as tedious to switch between the boots. And the iron boots aren't the only fault of this. There are other dungeons that require multiple items, so in the bigger moment, it kind of takes away from the moment that you're currently in. However, just because there's a formula that these dungeons do follow, it doesn't inherently diminish the value of that dungeon. Rather, it enhances the experience to further challenge yourself in areas that were previously unexplored or just kind of nearly impossible to get to without the designated item. The combat through everything has been super fun, and well, the Z-targeting, well, it worked for the most part until it didn't at all. The other thing that I gotta talk about is the fucking music, of course, because Ocarina of Time would not be Ocarina of Time if it wasn't for the dope-ass tracks we hear throughout our journey. I mean, come on. Lost Woods isn't the Lost Woods without that iconic theme. And then using that theme to figure out where you're gonna have to go just felt so fucking cool, like as a kid, like, oh, I'm going this way. No, I should probably go that way. It just adds to the magic. And Lon Lon Ranch isn't the ranch without Epona song. Goron City isn't Goron City without the ooh, 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 ooh. I also personally identify as a Goron. Come on, I'm brown, I'm big, I'm ready to rock and roll. Get it? Cause Goron's roll. Zora's Domain wouldn't be so chill, and Gerudo Valley wouldn't be Gerudo Valley without that iconic Spanish guitar. These songs do an incredible job setting up the atmosphere, further building upon the world that this game sets out to create, giving it a real sense of character and setting up its identity as the game we all know today. But really, my only gripe with this game has really been the camera. But other than that, the game still holds up really, really well, and all of the experiences that we learned along the way really does matter when it gathers up all at the end to culminate in what I believe is the best part of the game. Ganon's Castle is by far the best dungeon in the game. We enter and find our way up the tower blocked by a barrier of RGB lighting that is coming from several different rooms. It's almost like some kind of raves going on in here. Who brought the chili dogs? No one? Alright. I'll still party. So we make our way through all of these rooms, which are all combinations of our time throughout Hyrule, and implement different item usage based on the context of the puzzle. It's fucking awesome! You even get some golden gloves that let you pick up some heavy ass shit, and then bing, bam, boom! So we go around all these rooms, solve some puzzles, and break the barriers with our friends, and then we get ready to make the ascent up to fight Ganon. Utilizing everything that you've learned in your journey to solve these puzzles in the last area is honestly so sick, and made the whole ride up to here just fucking worth it. It was actually really good design that I wish some of the other dungeons would have done, but nonetheless it works so fucking well at the end of the game. So we climb the tower, fight some dinos, then fight 2 iron knuckles. Man, I gotta stop quoting cartoons. I should probably grow up.
Grow up? I'm 38 years old!
All culminating in an epic ascent up some pretty stairs with some epic music where we finally confront Ganondorf, who has also aged by 7 years. And it shows, because he grew a mullet? A ginger guy with a mullet. Pretty sure I've seen this before. Oh god, I see where this is going. He's gonna sell me a non-existent MacBook. Shout out to the DGD fans, am I right? Alright, Dance Gavin Dance aside, Ganondorf finally tells us that playtime is over, and we get to the first portion of this epic BB's ass fight, which should have been super easy for me, but my controller has drift and made it so annoying! Oh my god! Although I do gotta say, he's a pretty cool damn boss. Even if the first half is a repeat of fighting Phantom Ganon in the Forest Temple, it really brings it back full circle for us as the players, that we are fighting Ganon. And the Phantom Ganon fight does set the scale for what this fight is going to be, but this fight brings in a couple spicy jalapenos and changes it up a little bit. So I put my fucking big boy pants on, went and got myself some shiny white borders around my hearts, and went back in with gamer determination, and absolutely smashed that little ginger bitch in his place. Y'all know what I mean? fuck that dude. And then we get an epic descent down the tower where we fight some Stalfos and follow behind Zelda, where we go outside and the tower collapses and we hear some big scary noise. We check out the scary noise and woo, it's Ganon. Oh no, he knocks out the Master Sword out of our hands. Not like we haven't been using the Bigoron knife this whole fucking time. What a fucking loser. We hack and slash in an epic final battle with super epic music that really does feel like everything has been leading up to this point, that really just makes you feel like you did this. You ventured across the land and got to this moment. Whether you're a veteran or a new player, this moment just kind of hits and makes the whole thing worth it. So we regain the Master Sword and Zelda helps by pinning our wonderful ginger villain down with some magic, I guess, as we deal the final blow to the beast and straight up just fucking stab him in the head. It's so fucking cool and is a certified gamer moment. Fresh to death, snap back to the side, sunglasses on, joint in my mouth, cup of lean in the hand, boom, headshot. So anyways, yeah, we saved the world. Ganon gets trapped in the Sacred Realm until Wind Waker when he breaks out, and Zelda feels bad for taking away 7 years of our life, so she sends us back to our original timeline where our friend Navi goes just away, but sets up the premise for the next game, Majora's Mask, and we end up going to Zelda to warn her of the impending doom of Ganon, just to prevent it from happening, I guess. Or we don't and end up spawning a whole different timeline or whatever the fuck happens in the Zelda timeline. I don't know, I don't care. We just fucking beat Ocarina of Time! Victory! Yes! So now that we have completed our adventure beyond shitty camera angles and time itself, where do we end up now? Throughout my journey with this game, I kept asking myself whether or not this game holds up. And I referenced this question with the points that I laid out earlier in this video. Does the quality and gameplay of Ocarina of Time stand the test of time, both the time of its release and today? Is it still fun, intuitive, and engaging? Honestly, I set up to see if the game still holds up in these regards, but you know what? It still absolutely does. While the game isn't perfect and has a formula that every Zelda game after it followed up until Breath of the Wild, it executes it fairly well in the spaces that it envelops. Finding an item and going through a dungeon feels just right until you don't really need that item again, outside of the dungeons save for a few instances. These items allow the player to get the brain juices flowing and get that little bean that's in there to grow some legs and finally get the little hamster wheel running. Like everything we've learned has been just to power up that one little guy in our head, you know? This experience and amalgamation of knowledge makes an experience that is inviting for players that have never played the game before, or for those who have beat it over 100 times, or even for those coming back to the game after not having played it for a long time. And one of the other things that I took into consideration was the impact of the game. The impact of Ocarina of Time is clearly visible within its own series and others alike, like Z-targeting. It paved the way for games to add targeting features that also break your camera. It really changed the game as a whole. There's a reason why this game is still considered one of the greatest of all times. I mean, the reviews don't lie! Majora's Mask is still better. This game holds a special place in my heart as one of my favorite games, despite Majora's Mask taking that title once I finally got my little hands on them. But with the mix of the engaging combat and interesting narrative, it truly brings my childlike sense of wonder to fruition. The music throughout the game further captivates me to really engage in the atmosphere that Ocarina of Time sets out to create. And it envelops me today, even as a grown-ass man, and makes me just miss the days of simplicity and just getting sucked into whatever world Nintendo was making. I look back to my time with the game as a kid in fondness, and now I still think that it's a great game that has me becoming more sad because I realize that as I get older, it gets harder to recreate that magic, to come back and regress me from the depressing reality that is being an adult. So whether it's 1998 or whether it's your first time playing this game or your 100th, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is an entry in the series that does in fact stand the test of time, no matter when it's played. And that is such an epic fucking gamer moment. So I'm gonna go listen to some Zelda themed lo-fi and give some head to some Majora's Mask while I figure out if I can get it turned on or not. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I've been working really hard on it for like the last week or so, and I'm finally glad to see it drop despite having a shitty Walmart laptop that sometimes ran the game like this. I do intend to make a variety of different videos, and while Majora's Mask will be on the way someday, for now my next project is actually going to be about some Roblox games that I really genuinely enjoy. And I will be streaming on this channel actually for my next project, so feel free to subscribe and join in on the fun. Maybe I'll see you there. I'm talking to you. I also might make a Discord for people that like this channel, but I am kind of technologically stupid sometimes, so I still gotta figure it out. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. My first goal is 1,000 subscribers, but I don't know. That silver play button and gold play button would look really nice. Be really cool. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Oh, I'm floating away. I'm gonna become a star. Oh, or maybe, hopefully, the DVD logo on the black screen.